mentioned that growth is one thing, but growth comes from satisfaction of the agent itself. We are known
100%.
as Keller at one point was known, at Remax was one point was known, and I wasn't around when Caldwell was probably known this as well, but we're now the recruiting company. You look at the numbers. As much as we're recruiting, we're also the production company. So can you speak to that in the public eye, being looked at as one, but being looked at as one, but really being the other? How would you explain that?
I was at Inman, Vegas a couple of months ago, and Mike Del Prete was the opening speaker there. And he is a very well-known, well-respected real estate data specialist. He studies everybody. And his presentation was very interesting. And I would encourage anyone to look up Mike Del Prete YouTube video at Inman Connect 2022 in Vegas. He was the opening speech. And there he did a comparison of eXp and 6 other companies. He showed the trajectory of where eXp surpassed transactions beyond Realogy. Now remember, Realogy is 6 brands. We actually went and surpassed them earlier this year by transaction count. That means that we are the most productive company in the industry. That is not us saying it. It is an independent researcher that has studied every brand, and it's their numbers. So that's why I encourage you to look up Mike's presentation, because it's not me telling you. It's him doing the research as an independent person. He is not related to us in any way, shape, or form. He does not sort of have any relation to any real estate company. So he really just touts himself as an independent person. So when we sort of talk about that, that is an incredible misconception in our industry, because when we start talking about revenue share is one of the greatest differentiators of our brand, but there isn't any revenue without transactions. So there's no revenue share without revenue. And you can't have revenue if you don't have transactions. And so when we start looking at this, we are first and foremost a real estate company. We are the largest independent real estate company. We are a global company. And there's only, by the way, a very small percentage of our overall agent count that even participates in revenue share. So that's another sort of misnomer. It's probably only about 13 or 14% of our entire agent pool that even participates in revenue share. So the rest of them just focused on doing business.
87% or so come over here because it's just,
correct,
in their eyes, a better place to transact real estate and enjoy the rest of their career.
Look, Eric, first of all, we're probably one of the most competitive commission-based splits in the United States at an 80-20 starting point. When you get to $16,000 cap, which for a lot of productive agents is not really very difficult to achieve, and at that point you're at 100% commission, and then you get the ability to be gifted stock. There's actually another opportunity for an agent to come in and participate in a stock buying program. So it's 5% of any of their commissions. They can buy stock on an open market at a 10% discount, and the company pays them the delta of that discount. So that in and of itself is a reason enough for someone to come in and build their own financial legacy with us, which so many people do. And that is why people come in and build their futures with eXp.
And that has nothing to do, the opportunity to sell more real estate, use all of our systems, and to acquire equity in the company at either a discount or gifted, has nothing to do with the recruiting or agent attraction portion of the
100%.
If you could go back a number of years when you were an agent running a successful team, and you imagine now seeing eXp's model. So assuming we had our model back then explained to you, what do you think would be the 1 or 2 things that would have caused you to go, wow, not necessarily I'm going to move, but I have to listen and understand? Because one of the things we do as attraction specialists at eXp is we want people just to look at the opportunity, to understand it for themselves so they can make an educated decision. If you were willing to go through that process a number of years ago when you were an agent, Michael, what would you have thought to be your leaping off points? What would have separated eXp as the margin winner for you?
Yes, and I think that people need to remember that people do a business with people that they like and trust. So many people falsely believe that they need a brand behind them in order to grab the business. You don't. People do business with people that they like and trust. If you actually go in and start looking at the different agencies that are out there and agents that are with them, and you start looking at and polling the client, most clients don't even know who they work for, what agency they work for. And so they do business with you. And so one of the things that I would have looked at is when I go back to my first sale, I would have capped on my first sale. And so when I would have looked at that, I started thinking to myself, okay, how much did I pay my brokerage over my career? And that could have been in my pocket, not theirs. That is a really, really compelling conversation to have. And that in and of itself is very strong. And then when you add everything else, when you start sort of thinking about the idea of legacy, what you want to leave behind, and you start thinking about that to me is where that conversation is something that you can't ignore. That conversation becomes so compelling that you should sort of like even get out of your own way. And it's not about you. It's about what you want to leave behind. It's about your children, your own legacy, your own thought of what you want people to remember you by when you're no longer here.
One of the most stimulating conversations I'm in with commercial agents around the US, around the country, is and they're in other companies, I can ask them the question, because in commercial, as you know, it's really always, almost always drills down to the numbers. It isn't as much about relationships as about numbers. Can you talk briefly about why our commercial opportunity, only a 2-year-old opportunity at this point, last time I saw we were ranked number 11 in the country in only 2 years. Can you speak to how big an opportunity is from the cash in my pocket, commission in my pocket perspective? Once a commercial agent hears the soundbite you're about to speak, and I'm going to put it in front of lots of them, once they hear this soundbite, I hope they're going to say, you know what, at least I have to take a look at it. So can you speak to the financial difference between eXp's commercial business and everybody else that we're aware of?
So here you go. You're sort of talking about the fact that it's more emotionally removed for commercial agents, and you're absolutely right. So here is for every commercial agent listening. Do you do more than $20,000 on any transaction? If you could cap at that $20,000 transaction, right? That's what you pay into eXp. You're at 100% commission. It's an 80-20 split with a $20,000 cap. I'm going to wait for that mic drop moment, because that's really what it is. And it's the idea that you have all of the tools that you need to run your commercial business. And to your point, Eric, we have actually now reached the top 10 of all commercial real estate agencies in the United States in less than 2 years. It is an incredible operation that we are doing. We have interest globally with everything that we're doing there, with so many commercial agents that are coming in. Well, I spoke to Jim Wong, the president of eXp Commercial, yesterday, actually, and we are going to be building an internal referral network globally within our 22 countries for buyers that are interested in properties internationally, and vice versa, buyers that might be wanting to diversify their portfolio and look to operations in Europe or the Middle East. We're about to open in Dubai now. That's going to be a whole new influx of potential buyers for commercial properties. We are right now at an incredible sort of point in our career within eXp and our trajectory as a company, that for commercial agents to truly see what our offering is an incredible opportunity, and we welcome that conversation with everyone.
I don't know any other driver that's bigger than the fear of loss. And every agent that's not with us is losing the opportunity to gain what eXp can gain for them. So as a last ditch effort, if someone's listening as a prospect and you were to tell them, what would be the thing you would see them not to benefit from by remaining where they are? Now, again, we don't ever tell people they should move, but we can always paint a picture of what they may miss if they're not here. Could you end our wonderful interview, as good as I've had, and I've had some good ones, can you end with what the fear of loss should be for an agent that's aware that we are an alternative or an option to their career?
I'm gonna answer that a different way. I always sort of say that when you start speaking to people that are at eXp and people that sort of say eXp changed my life. By the way, when I first came here and people started saying eXp changed my life, I thought I made the greatest mistake in moving over. I thought, oh my God, what is everyone drinking the Kool-Aid? What is going on? And it took a while for me to get it. It took a while for me to understand, wow, this really does change people's lives. And it's not something that I can tell anyone. It's something that has to be experienced. And what I will say, what I say to many people, is that if you believe that eXp did change your life and that it was an incredible gift that you received, when someone starts telling this to somebody else, all they're doing is sharing a gift that they've received with somebody else. And someone may be at the right time to receive that gift, or they may not. And that's okay. But it is indeed a gift.
Why did you move to eXp? Because at Realogy, a great operation, and you were running it quite well. Why did you make that move?
That's a great question. And I love answering this question. I actually, I wasn't challenged any longer in the job that I was doing. I felt as though I could phone it in. And it wasn't, for me, it was not, I need to be challenged myself in order to really just get into something, to wake up and really understand, I want to do something that's different. And it was, and my accountant, who we went to school together, known him 30 years, he said to me, you're making a grave mistake. He says, you're number 3 at the largest real estate company in the world. What are you thinking? And I sort of said, I've got to follow my gut. And it has been an extraordinary journey. And 6 months after he told me that, we had dinner and he apologized. And he said, you were right. You were right.